Welcome to another day of reading. We have been reading the awesome story of a fine, fine school. And if you look inside the book on that first page of A Fine, Fine School, it talks about the genre of the story. That's a really big, interesting word, genre. We sound like we're in college. We're using such mature words. So genre is the type of story it is. So the genre of A Fine, Fine School is humorous fiction. So humorous, base word humor, means funny, and fiction meaning it is a fake story or a story somebody made up. They created it in their head and wrote it down. Humorous fiction. That's the genre. Genre, G-E-N-R-E. I know, it sounds like a J, but it begins with a G with the J sound. So, one thing we've never touched upon is fiction and nonfiction. So we know A Fine, Fine School is fiction. So how do we keep those two words, fiction and nonfiction, straight? I've got a memory trick. You know how I love those memory tricks. Memory trick. Let's take a little look-see at this. Here we have a fake picture or a cartoon picture illustration of a dog. Well, fiction starts with that F sound. So does these three words. Fake, phony, false. So fake, phony, or false means it's fiction. Someone created it or made it up in their head. But if we want nonfiction, we have this picture of a real dog. Nonfiction is a real story. It really happened and someone wrote it down. What happened in real life? So fiction, fake, phony, false. Phony begins with PH. PH makes that F sound. Fake, phony, false, fiction. Real would be nonfiction. So that'll help you remember the difference between the two. So A Fine, Fine School, humorous, humorous fiction, right? So in this humorous story, there's some really good illustrations that are pretty humorous, right? Let's see. In our book, if we look at the story, the pictures that are drawn are the illustrations. Here's the illustrator right here, Harry Bliss. He drew the illustrations. And they're very funny, very humorous. When you look at these illustrations, there are so many details that tell you more about the story. So there's a saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So true. These pictures give you so many details that the story doesn't include, and most of which in this story are pretty funny. So we see Tilly, and look at her backpack. I mean, that really tells you how much school they must have if you need a backpack this big that your little brother's helping you hold it up. And when you look at the Post-its, big test tomorrow, even bigger test Tuesday, massive test on your birthday, midnight quiz Sunday, right? Write to mom and dad. Think of how much school you have to attend if you have to write a letter to your mom and dad. Holy cow. That really tells us a lot about the story, about how much school they're attending and how much work they have by the size of that backpack and those Post-its. That really tells us a lot about this story. Let's look at one more double page spread here. On pages 16 and 17 in our book, Mr. Keene, our principal, is telling us that it is such a fine, fine school. Well, look at the picture. The picture tells us why it's such a fine, fine school. Look at these children making this 3D dinosaur. And these kids right here building a pyramid. And kids looking at art books and writing really hard words on the chalkboard and drawing pictures. I mean, you can really see the learning that's happening. This truly is a fine, fine school. There's a lot of good things going on there. So that picture really adds to the story. There's a lot of story clues there, for sure. So what you're going to do today is you will be looking at 2 pages in your book. You will be looking at page 26 and 27, where we see this illustration in the story. And you're going to answer this question. Analyze the text. So analyze means you're going to look at it, really look at all the details in the story, in the words on the page, in the illustrations, and think about it and come up with some type of conclusion. It says, what do the illustrations tell you about how the characters feel? So I could say the characters are happy, the characters are sad, the characters are shy, the characters are tired. But what clues in this picture tell you exactly how the characters feel? So what I just said, though that's not the answer, but you're going to look at how do these characters feel? Really dig into those pictures. Look for details like Post-its, the look on their face, what's in their locker, what are they doing? What do their books say? Everything. Look for every little detail. Clocks, watches, backpacks. Look at everything. Signs, pencils. Look for clues everywhere in this picture. And then you're going to answer that question with a clue. You list a clue and then tell me, what does that say about the story, about how that character feels? So look for clues and then explain, what does that tell you? How does that character feel? Match it up, okay? So good luck to you. You're gonna do great. I know it. Be kind to each other and you take care of each other. Bye-bye.